The fantasy news must flow. Welcome everybody to another episode of Fantasy News. I am your disheveled goblin host Daniel Green, and today we are going to be kicking it off with some honestly sensationally positive news. And this comes to us from a tweet from the Society of Authors. In a major development for authors of books available on Kindle, and following months of discussion with the SOC of Authors and at Authors Guild, Amazon is ending its policy of returns on fully read books. Now, a couple notes here. One, yes, this was really a thing, and something that was disproportionately hurting smaller authors who absolutely depend on each and every book sale they get. And Amazon was actually letting people return the books and then taking the money that would have gone for the author for the book that was read. I think we can all agree that if you fully read a book, even if you didn't love it, you still owe the author the amount of money you paid for that reading experience. And to everyone who would actively partake in this practice knowingly, there was like a trend where people were showing how to like get away with not spending money on books. You were directly hurting the authors and flat out, fuck you. But the other note is, yes, this is a great step in the right direction, but there is still so much work that needs to be done in this space to make things, one, be more fair for authors in terms of getting the appropriate cut for their work, but also disrupting the fact that just a few vendors control almost all digital book sales. That's not healthy for the industry, and is the reason why things like this can be such an issue for so long. If you remember, we first covered the fact that this was a thing in fantasy news months ago. It should have been changed right away, but no, Amazon wanted to keep this policy, and it's just wow. But yes, the right thing has happened, and especially for smaller authors, this is fantastic news. And thank you for this Twitter user for bringing it to my attention. It made me so mad seeing people on TikTok be like, oh, you can return the book this way, and that way you don't actually get charged. Do you think Amazon's just gonna eat that cost? Think about it for 4 seconds and who you're hurting there. I have heard some gross people actually defend this policy, saying, oh, can't afford books, therefore it's not wrong for me to be stealing from authors. One, yes, it absolutely still is. And two, there's this incredible invention called libraries, many of which are online now, and you can use right on ahead to get books without stealing. Isn't that a great way to go? And on top of that, this isn't actually even a perfect solution, because guess what? People still can return books past 10%. It's just that it's not entirely automated process anymore. So trying to add some friction, which in this case of people just being lazy, might be enough to largely solve the problem. Yay. But kicking on over into badass author news, Martha Wells has released the cover for her next book, and it's called The Witch King and looks like this. I quite like it. It's clearly a firm departure from the series I'm most familiar of Martha Wells from, and that would be Murderbot. And the synopsis for the book goes:
Cayena is the Witch King, though he hasn't always been, and he hasn't even always been Cayena. After being murdered, his consciousness dormant and unaware of the passing of time while confined in an elaborate water trap, Kai wakes to find a lesser mage attempting to harness Kai's magic to his own advantage. That was never going to go well. But why was Kai imprisoned in the first place? What has changed in the world since his assassination? And why does the Rising World Coalition appear to be growing in influence? Kai will need to pull his allies close and draw on all his pain magic if he is to answer even the least of these questions. He's not going to like the answers. Dun dun dun!
I always just like the way those are written. It makes me feel like they should end with that each time. For every book, they're always written that way. And before we get to that big old Brando Sando news I know so many people are excited about, I do want to talk about one more piece of just general book news that is so cool. One of my favorite tech YouTubers, JerryRigEverything, has started a book drive for a library they are building in Africa. So freaking cool. And they're taking donations, and if you would like to be a part of this and help supply a load of books in English to people who are going to be learning that language, please follow the links down below and help JerryRigEverything establish a freaking library in another continent. awesome. And of course, we have Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Tabletop RPG. You probably could have seen this coming when the miniatures were announced, because also there was people talking about that, but yes, we're getting a Stormlight RPG. Now hold your horses, hold them right on up. This isn't going to be dropping anytime soon, with a tentative release in 2024. We don't know too much about this aside from Sanderson discussed the game on his YouTube show with the project's art director Isaac Stewart, as well as Brotherwise Games' Johnny O'Neill. Brotherwise Games previously worked in the Stormlight Archive universe in a couple of different projects, including the card game Call to Adventure, Stormlight Archive. The company has multiple successful crowdfunding campaigns behind it, which means this could come to us through Kickstarter yet again. Let's see if Sanderson can take the top 2 spots on Kickstarter, shall we? That's not guaranteed, that's me speculating, it's just a joke. I don't know if this will be on Kickstarter. Please, for the love of God, don't quote me on that. And this is the same company that's been working with Sanderson with his current Kickstarter project of the miniatures. Oh my God. Now, in terms of what exactly we should expect for this RPG, I'm not entirely sure. The best inclination you could probably get is to look at the Mistborn adventure game that already exists for what style of RPGing Sanderson seems to enjoy. If he had control over that project, I'm not entirely sure. Though, honestly, we're probably just not going to know too much about this until later on, and that's okay. It's fine to be left in the dark. Next news, we've got an update from Janny Wurts, the author of the Light and Shadow series, where she said, "Update, I have completed the hand-marked / heavy lifting of the polish edit of Song of the Mysteries / final of the Wars of Light and Shadow." Sorry, Wars of Light and Shadow. I actually haven't read this, so I'm trying to do my best here. Left to go, enter the changes into the files / last pass and proofreading for errors. This is the easier part / downhill run to turn it in. I have to say, as someone who is now on his 3rd book to get edited, this is a complex process. I thought for my first book, it would be fine just to have like people I know who have done editing in my personal life edit it. No, you need to hire professional editors to get your book up to par. Set that aside for your initial budgeting for your book project. And editing is going to take a lot of time. It's frustrating because after you get done with that first draft, you're like, oh, I think I'm done. No, you're not even close. You need to go back through with a fine-tooth comb and work. But it's great to hear that this author is already through that step, and I'm sure the fans are really excited to get this final entry into the Wars of Light and Shadow series. Next news!
And a YouTuber book titled Iron Widow is being optioned for a big screen adaptation. Can you believe it?
Wait, whoa, you got something to say about YouTuber books there, Boblin? You want to talk about YouTuber books real quick? All jokes aside, massive congratulations to Jiren Zhao for Iron Widow's success. It's so cool to see someone who got their start on YouTube have their writing be even optioned for something like this, and I hope to see a bigger franchise move in the future from it. We're in a time where new media is still paving new paths for other people to follow in, and Jiren Zhao has joined those ranks. Do people want to see me review Iron Widow here on the channel? I kind of avoided it because it felt weird reviewing another YouTuber's book, and Lord knows what the audience would do with that, but hey, let me know if you'd like me to in the comments down below. Back to the non-cut-in news for last-minute edits. Now, I am a fantasy horror fan. I like me some spoopies, some scares. They're great, and one of the best directors bringing on the spoops recently has been Mike Flanagan, the best adapter of Stephen King's work we've gotten in quite some time. Not ever, but certainly right now working. And he tweeted out something I find fascinating. He retweeted a fan-made poster of a theoretical Shining prequel called Shine and said, "We were so close. I'll always regret this didn't happen." To which someone asked, so why didn't it happen? And Mike Flanagan responded, because of Dr. Sleep's box office performance, and what you expect to happen from there. Obviously, Warner Bros. Controls the rights and didn't want to continue with a series that wasn't making money. And I have a lot of thoughts on this, actually, because Mike Flanagan is a creative who pretty much every single project he puts out, I will put on my eventual to-be watch list because I think he's absolutely brilliant. But that being said, I get why Warner Bros. Is not going to do a next movie in a series that isn't pulling in money. Dr. Sleep flopped at the box office quite a bit. Though, I've been happy to say, especially with the director's cut, the one Mike Flanagan put together himself, obviously, has been getting more and more attention and love. And if you didn't believe The Shining could have a sequel that would possibly be good, I recommend you check out that version of the movie, because I found it, well, not to be as good as the freaking Shining, to still be great. And Ewan McGregor's performance especially, Wow, definitely worth any Stephen King fan's time. Would I like to see a prequel following Scatman Crothers directed by Mike Flanagan?
Well, what I want doesn't matter. I talked to Mako and he wants it. So, Mike Flanagan, you're disappointing that cat by not making it, just saying.
Real quickly, also, if you're a horror fan, we got a new Hellraiser trailer you should check out. But I don't want to end fantasy news on a negative. That would be terrible, awful, repugnant. So let's talk about something we will be getting, and that is Constantine 2, with Keanu Reeves returning for the role. And if you were mad at Warner Brothers about the Shining debacle, that's the studios bringing you this sequel. Feeling conflicted now? You a little bit of love, a little bit of hate? Probably not, you probably don't care that much. But after 17 years, yes, it's been that long, feel old, Keanu Reeves will be diving back into this role. And I like Keanu Reeves as a guy, obviously, as much as the next person. As an actor, he kind of tends to whiffle waffle in performance for me, but Constantine was one I feel like he absolutely nailed. So I would love to see him come back and take on this role. Do I want it tied into the DCEU? No. That has just been your latest episode of Fantasy News. If you'd like to support an awesome project building a library in Africa, link down below for JerryRigEverything's video, and like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here. I got merch, I got books, I got Boblin, and he's a genius. What do you think of me, Boblin? That hurt my feelings, and have a good one, y'all. Peace.